Welcome back to our latest explainer. If you've been scrolling around looking for that sudden magical burst of inspiration, like some quick hack to completely overhaul your life, I actually need you to pause right here. Because the source material we're unpacking today totally shatters that illusion. As we dive into this analysis on personal evolution, the overarching message is crystal clear. True transformation is not found in a quick motivational hack. It's just not a sudden lightning bolt. Instead, according to the really profound insights we're about to explore, genuine change is slow, it's often a bit painful, and most importantly, it's permanent.
Okay, let's dive into this. The creator of our source material hits us with a massive realization right out of the gate, boldly stating it was never about motivation, it was about repetition. Just think about the psychology behind daily repetition for a second. We spend so much time waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel inspired. But the source argues that building a completely new identity has absolutely nothing to do with your feelings. It's entirely driven by the quiet, unrelenting power of just doing things repeatedly. It's the literal mechanics of daily action fundamentally reshaping your inner psychology.
To really grasp how this all works, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the myth of motivation. Second, conquering comfort from momentum. Third, protecting your mental space. Fourth, rebuilding inner self-trust. And finally, the psychology of repetition.
So, starting off with Section 1, the myth of motivation.
To get started here, we basically have to unlearn everything we've been taught about how success happens. Those fleeting feelings of motivation, they're practically useless for lasting change. Motivation is a spark, sure, but it burns out fast. The source emphasizes this concept of evolving in silence instead. It points out that the loudest transformations actually happen quietly. Think about what that really means. We live in a world that constantly begs us to broadcast every single step of our journey online. But the most significant psychological changes, they occur entirely behind the scenes. It's through that unglamorous, silent repetition, doing the work when no one is watching and absolutely no one is cheering, that an identity is actually forged.
Moving right along to Section 2, Conquering Comfort for Momentum. This is Phase 1 of our psychological protocol.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is if you want to change your mind, you actually have to start by shocking your body. This phase is all about generating immediate, undeniable momentum by launching a physical war against your own comfort zone. Look at this number, 60 seconds. That is the exact amount of time it takes to build baseline discipline through a cold shower. The source argues that enduring a cold shower isn't just about waking up. It's about proving a fundamental psychological point to yourself every single morning. The logic is simple. If I can conquer physical comfort, I can conquer absolutely anything the day throws at me.
Let's look at the other physical habits deployed in this first phase. Making the bed. That's not for neatness. It's to win the very first battle of the day. Lifting heavy. Physically and mentally, iron sharpens everything. Eating clean. Again, not for abs, for energy, for focus, for war. Drinking water like it's a daily superpower, and daily movement even when you are completely exhausted, because motion destroys stagnation. These habits are fast, they're aggressive, they aren't about fitting into some trendy health aesthetic, they are about forging immediate, relentless momentum. Basically, you're going to war with yourself, using action to violently shake your psychology awake.
That brings us to Section 3, protecting your mental space, which is Phase 2 of the protocol.
Okay, so now that you're moving, you have to defend your mind. The source establishes a really fascinating and direct psychological link right here. Outer chaos equals inner chaos. Keeping a flawlessly clean physical space isn't just treated as some annoying chore, it's literally framed as a matter of survival. The creator notes they clean like their life depends on it. Because think about it, when your environment is cluttered, your mind scrambles. By taking control of the physical space around you, you essentially exert control over your internal mental state.
This mental defense extends right into how you manage information, too. Waking up before the world and, crucially, before the endless scroll allows you to meet yourself first. No screen time for that first hour protects your mind before the world has a chance to flood it. Daily walks without a phone? That strips away distractions to reveal pure clarity. Committing to 1 hour of brutal, tab-free deep work literally forces focus. And tracking your time isn't about being perfect, it's just to be aware of where your time simply bleeds away. By blocking out the noise of the world, you create a sterile, quiet environment. And it's really only in that sterile environment that deep focus and brand new ideas are actually born.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when you protect your mind. A massive psychological shift occurs. The source mentions reading just 10 pages a day. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a super simple reading habit, right? But psychologically, it fundamentally rewired the creator's brain. The text notes that their brain literally stopped craving chaos and started craving growth. This is the true power of the psychology of daily repetition. You can actually reprogram what your brain desires by consistently feeding it structured knowledge instead of just mindless digital noise.
Let's transition into Section 4, Rebuilding Inner Self-Trust. This is Phase 3 of our protocol.
Let's take a breath and slow things down a bit right here. We've built physical momentum, we've protected our mental space. Now we really must move inward. Just look at this number, 1. It represents one daily promise kept, even if it is incredibly small. The source places immense psychological weight on this single concept. When you say you're going to do something and you actually do it, you are proving to yourself that you are reliable. Keeping just one small promise to yourself every single day is the absolute bedrock foundation of rebuilding your shattered self-trust.
And building on that trust requires deep, deep honesty. It means committing to journaling. Some days it'll be messy, some days it'll be deep, but it must always be honest. It means setting strict boundaries by saying no a lot. Not to be rude, but to protect yourself and, as the source says, to stay dangerous. It requires talking to yourself with absolute respect, because honestly, if you don't have your own back, who will? And perhaps most profoundly, it means enforcing nightly silence. No music, no content playing in the background, just sitting alone with the weight you carry. The source explicitly identifies this silent confrontation as the place where true psychological healing actually happens.
Finally, Section 5, the psychology of repetition. This is where we synthesize all of this growth.
We've seen the physical, the defensive, and the introspective habits. Now let's synthesize how they actually dictate your inner reality. So the crucial point is, it all comes down to stacking tiny wins. This is the core psychological mechanism at play here. The source talks about writing down 3 wins each night, noting that even if the win was just, hey, I didn't quit today, it counts. By accumulating these small daily victories, you are providing your brain with undeniable evidence of your own competence. You're slowly, painfully, and permanently evolving your identity through hard evidence, rather than just wishful thinking.
Through this relentless repetition, the creator arrived at this incredibly powerful concluding realization. No one's coming to save me. I am the rescue plan. This is the ultimate psychological reward for mastering daily repetition. You completely strip away the victim mindset, you replace it with absolute self-reliance. You finally realize that you and only you are the architect of your own mind.
So, I'll leave you with this. What is your rescue plan? How will you apply the psychology of daily repetition to rebuild your own identity? The habits themselves are simple, but the repetition? That is the true test. I highly encourage you to reflect right now on what tiny win you can stack today.